We are live at Terrebonne, where Melanie Joly is selflessly sacrificing her time to help voters who can't afford to vote. What a saint she is.
This is funny because she was actually caught loitering around a polling station during the last by-election in Terrebonne, which led to the Bloc Québécois saying that it would file a complaint with Elections Canada after Industry Minister Melanie Joly, who is not from the riding, was seen allegedly loitering around a polling station and was asked to leave by staff during the by-elections in Terrebonne. But on today's report, $1 trillion vanished out of Canada. Senators find that Bill C-9 is not authoritarian enough, and more foreign aid for everyone but Canadians. You get money, you get money, you all get money. Well, except if you're Canadian. Here is what you might have missed this week in Canada and the facts the government don't want you to know. So stick around because you don't want to miss this. My name is Elliot Daniel and this is the Right Call Report. Like, share, subscribe. Any interactions on this channel helps push the truth out and maybe someday break that CBC-induced coma that so many Canadians are under. And if you're tired of that same old government and media BS and finally want some common sense commentary, well then smash that subscribe button because you're in the right place. An unbelievable Royal Bank of Canada report just dropped. It finds that between 2015 to 2024, more than $1 trillion in investment exited Canada, never to be seen again, making it the largest capital exodus in Canadian history. Canada is emerging from an unprecedented capital recession. The renewed interest comes after a decade of weak business investment, stalling productivity, and stagnating living standards. Over the last decade, what is the common thread? What has happened over the last decade? I wonder. Maybe we've been under a liberal regime. But fear not. According to Mark Carney, this is a new world order, so things will clearly change. RBC goes on to say that for every dollar of inward FDI, $2 exited. I mean, this is a traumatic shock to our economy. And I'm not the one saying it. This is literally Royal Bank of Canada saying this. They're apolitical. This is not a partisan issue. This is just purely economic facts. But I can't blame capital for exiting. I mean, why wouldn't it? Why keep your money in a country that penalizes you with prohibitively high taxation? And we're not talking just about income tax or sales tax, although sales tax also plays a role in this, but we're mostly talking about capital gains tax, dividends tax, corporate tax, all the carbon industrial tax, all these taxes upon taxes upon taxes, levies and excise taxes. Why would capital stay here when it can go to a more favorable harbor where the money will grow faster, bigger, and with less restrictions? Don't forget, every time you pay a tax, this is money that is gonzo. It goes into the pockets of a government never to be seen again. It's not money that is growing, that is fruitfully gaining you more. And this is not even touching on the fact that the government puts red tape left and right with regulatory burden that penalizes companies further and reduces their competitiveness on the world stage. Capital seeks to be efficient, so it goes to the places that is most likely to affect that reality. I mean, it doesn't take a Harvard-educated economist, Carney, to figure that out. But it's not all doom and gloom. It's not all black pill, because according again to RBC, Canada sits on a major opportunity because it thinks that Canada could attract up to $705 billion in the oil and gas sector, $635 billion in the electricity sector, $200 billion in the mining sector, $205 billion in agriculture and food processing, and $30 billion for defense and space. Look, I've been saying this forever. Canada could be the wealthiest country in the world, more than Saudi Arabia, more than Norway. Heck, perhaps even rivaling the United States of America. We have so much natural resources. From the third largest proven oil reserve in the world to the fourth largest producer of hydroelectricity in the world. Mining, gold, copper, zinc, uranium, potash, you name it, we have it. We just have to put our head down, grind, rip off the red tape, and actually get it done. Man, actually back to the black pill, because so far it doesn't seem like this is gonna happen. Because according to a report tabled by the Canadian Federation of Independent Businesses, more businesses are closing than opening in Canada. This ain't good. The drought began in early 2024, the CFIB said, with the gap between openings and closures reaching a new high in the last quarter. So we're talking October to December 2025. Canada's economic foundation is crumbling. Governments need to stop just papering over the cracks and really refocus efforts on policies that improve the small business environment. This is according to the CFIB director for the Prairies and the North. In the second quarter of 2025, exit rates, or the number of businesses closing, reached 5.6% of businesses, while entry rates, or the number of businesses opening, fell to 4.9%, marking some of the highest closure rates and weakest startup activity outside of the pandemic. And like I was saying earlier with the regulatory burden, they say it right here too. Red tape disproportionately affects smaller businesses. Small businesses that have to comply with the same laws as large businesses don't have access to the accountants, the lawyers, the various departments that can pore over those regulations. It's always going to swallow them up more. Look, small to medium enterprise is the heart, the soul, the blood of an economy. Without them, we're nothing. And Canada already has an oligopoly problem, which destroys the consumer sector, right? Less choices, higher prices, less innovation, you name it. But on top of that, our government is putting every sticks in the wheels possible for the small, medium enterprise never to have a chance to compete. Now, here's another consequence of small to medium businesses closing. It leads to higher unemployment rates and a harder time for people to find a job.
It has been quite hard, to be honest.
High school students and recent grads say they're sending out job applications all over the place, but aren't hearing back.
I've applied for like over 100 companies, and so far I haven't found any, even for an interview.
The competition is tough, even for entry-level gigs. 5,000 people turned out at a recent job fair in Calgary hoping to get hired.
I'm just about to finish grade 12, so it's something I can do full-time.
The latest numbers are out showing some job gains, but not enough to offset the losses to start the year, with a youth unemployment rate sitting at 13.8%.
Wait, didn't we have our prime minister just gaslighting us, telling us that we have so many new jobs? The lies.
So far this year, the country has lost about 95,000 jobs. Young workers lost half those jobs, but they represent only 14% of the labor force.
I don't ever want to hear the boomers say one more time that the youth should just work harder, pull themselves up by the bootstraps, and they're just lazy and unmotivated, okay? It ain't the case. They're trying. There's just no jobs available.
I've seen any job creation for that cohort for the past 6 months or to more than a year.
So what's behind these numbers? Experts say there's a number of factors tied to economic uncertainty.
Many of those positions are actually being scooped up by people who are taking on second jobs, who are maybe later in their career.
Some younger teens say age itself is the barrier.
I'm 15 and I turn 16 next month. It's a bit difficult to find jobs that are willing to hire younger kids.
That's why so many are turning to job fairs to make a face-to-face impression.
5,000 teens showed up for a job fair in Canada. They're having a hard time finding a job. That's wild. But let's be frank, okay? The reason why these 15 and 16-year-olds are not finding any jobs is because the jobs go to 40-year-old immigrants. Because business owners can charge $40,000 for an LMIA, temporary foreign worker. It's so messed up, but the system is completely skewed. And before you say I'm making this crap up, no. Because I'll be the hypocrite here to tell you, I've used that before. Running a business, I used to hire LMIA foreign workers. And it's not because I would charge them $40,000, okay? I did not scam it to that extent. But it's because the reality is, when they're on a closed work visa, on an LMIA working for you, man, it's messed up to say, but you can't control them. It's kind of like they're stuck working for you, not looking for other opportunities, other jobs. So it's sad, but it should not be that way. It should not be used that way. And I know, total hypocrite. I contributed to this, although mind you, 10 years ago, it was not being used the same way. Nowadays, literally business owners will ask candidates to pay, like I said, upwards of $40,000, okay, to apply for these jobs. They're making a killing. It's just hiring LMIA workers is itself the business, okay? It's been completely hijacked. But regardless, this entire system is a massive scam and it needs to be scrapped, okay? But fear not. We don't have to worry about a thriving economy. Who cares about that? We're all just simply going to end up working for the government. Because our federal public civil service headcount has grown by 31% in the last decade. That's over 1 million additional bureaucrats. Per capita, that's more than anywhere in the G7. Man, it makes me wonder, do we have the best government services in the G7? I'll let you answer that one down in the comments below. Let me know. Do you think we do? I'm not going to tell you my opinion. But the general population will tell you what they think. Despite this, only 16% of Canadians say that they receive good value from government services. Man, if you look at this graph right here, Canada is numero uno, ahead of Australia, Ireland, man, the Netherlands, Great Britain, the US, man, by several orders of magnitude. This is no joke. And it's even less of a joke when you consider this little inconvenient fact that nobody ever talks about. Did you know that it takes between 2 to 4 private sector jobs to fund a single public sector bureaucrat? That's because public sector jobs don't contribute any value to the economy. They are not productive jobs. On the contrary, it costs taxpayer money to support these positions. So we're getting shafted both ways. We have a stalling, faltering private sector economy, which leads to less economic growth that would be needed to support an ever-increasing public sector bureaucracy. It's a pyramid scheme that just cannot last. Even union leaders, which I am not a big fan of at all, but they're starting to wake up to how the working class has been getting screwed over the last decade.
What we realized was by dramatically inflating the price of land and by having a system where the regulation was in place to stop that dramatic inflation, it was impacting every sector of the economy in ways that they weren't able to consciously put together. Not only is it difficult to find a place to rent because of the baked-in financialization for the actual owners, right? Typically the owner is buying something on leverage.
Of course, unions would talk about financialization of private property. Let's not look too deep into this, okay? Let's give them a pass because they're actually kind of, talking sense for once, okay?
But, when you look at the, doctor shortages, nurses, skilled tradespeople, there's a very simple answer to this, is that in the economy we're in, if you can move to another jurisdiction, let's say you move south of the border of the United States, and you can be paid more, because the US dollar is quite a bit stronger. And there's very few times where Canada's petrodollar is floated up to that. So you can be paid more, and your cost of living is substantively less. Then you're way better off. So we lose a lot of our skilled professionals in these areas because of this problem of land inflation. And so what we've seen is that the other problem is, and this is a major issue, is that your ability to compete on the global market economically in terms of your production goes down dramatically because the cost of labor here is so high. And so what's happened is we've been baked into this contradiction where on one hand, you have elements of finance capital that have essentially assisted in bidding up in a relatively unregulated environment, bidding up the price of land to the point where wages have to be at a certain level in order to sustain those debt payments.
Man, we're going to turn them into capitalists very soon because, he made the capitalist point that I made earlier. Capital will flow to the place that it is the most appreciated, right? Same thing with labor. If you can get paid more and get taxed less, why wouldn't you go to a different jurisdiction, especially considering that they have more opportunity, namely south of the border in the US? And who would have thought that I'd agree with a union leader? Wow, times are dire. But I'm glad to see that they're so close to figuring it out. Maybe this is why at the Liberal convention last week, this happened.
Are there union members here?
Audience? Oh, one lone voice, but you are our partners. Yes, thank you very much to the strong union movement in Canada.
The strong union movement in Canada. One voice in the entire audience representing the unions. Yep, the Liberals have lost the worker support. The only problem is that the NDP is not that much better of an option. So I guess, workers, it's time to come to the conservative side. You'll realize soon enough that actually conservatives are for the working class. They're for the working people. The Liberals are the party of the elites. They're the party of the corporatists, the people that do want to continue to have cheap labor. We call them Laurentian elites for a reason. They've been around forever. They're not on your side, okay? I know they have nice platitudes and nice kind words, and they make nice little posts and little speeches, but their actions, especially after a decade, have proven otherwise. We welcome you to our side. However, I don't welcome this to our side. C-9, right? The hate speech bill is in the Senate right now, so it's not yet law, but it will be very shortly. And if you thought for 1 second that our house of sober second thought would, have a freaking sober second thought, you forgot you were in Canada.
I would like, if possible, to discuss something about the bill, because a number of the bills that we consider here are proposed by the government. And so amendments can sometimes be somewhat sensitive. And I've noticed that after 5 years. So with regard to the study on this bill, will the First Nations be heard? They are suffering a lot of pressure with regard to the complete denial of the burial grounds of our ancestors who went through residential schools. There's also the Truth and Reconciliation Commission that was created by the government, and also the inquiry on missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls. So all of these exercises have taken place in this democracy, but there is still very powerful denial. So can you ensure me that if there are amendments proposed by First Nations, there will be an openness to really believe what is happening to them? Thank you. Senator Wells?
Question, and absolutely, I personally believe it's critically important that we hear from our Indigenous First Nation Métis communities on this bill in particular, because we know that often there is a distrust of law enforcement because of historical systemic structural discrimination. So that would be a community that is actually underreporting hate crimes to police. And so no matter what legislation we have that underpins this bill moving forward is about training, working in partnership with communities. This is often a last resort when we get to the criminalization of hate crimes. I firmly believe that no one is born with hate in their heart, that hate is a learned value, and therefore it also gives us hope that it can be unlearned. But bringing forward these considerations, I know that from our colleagues here that everyone will take their responsibilities very diligently at committee to consider these important concerns. We know that there is a bill in the other place that is looking at residential school denialism as well.
In their infinite, sober second thought wisdom, they decided that this bill, C-9, was just not draconian quite enough for their liking. Jailing people for dank memes or for simply quoting the Bible was too soft and not autocratic enough for these Canadian senators. What she's saying is that if you so much as deny mass graves and residential school stuff, and you name it, anything that goes against the Indigenous population of Canada and their narrative, you should be tried and found guilty of a hate crime and jailed up to life in prison. That's right, C-9 will jail you for those dank memes up to life in prison. So, for example, what I'm doing right here, showing this article that says that there's no evidence of mass graves or genocide in residential schools, even though there's been over $246 million spent studying and researching and digging up sites. Well, just quoting this once under C-9 could land me in jail. Luckily, it hasn't passed yet. Man, deep in my heart, I had a smidget, a tiny bit of hope after the bill passed in the House of Commons. I thought, come on, senators are going to look at this and be like, no, this is pushing it a tad bit too far. This is infringing on our chartered rights. This is against everything that freedom of expression is supposed to stand for. Oh God, was I wrong? I underestimated just how much the mind virus of Canada's suicidal empathy has corrupted this nation. And speaking of suicidal empathy, our Minister of Foreign Affairs thought that it would be wise to send $120 million to deliver urgent, life-saving support to the Sudanese. It's not Ukraine this week, it's Sudan. She still has no plan, though, on offering urgent, life-saving support to Canadians, however. Even though currently 1 in 4 Canadians are food insecure. That's right, a supposed G7 country where 25% of the population can't feed themselves properly. We cannot call ourselves a prosperous nation anymore. It would be way too laughable. On the Food Bank of Canada website, there's plenty of data. Let's start with that this year they recorded nearly 2.2 million visits in a single month. 1 month. That's double the monthly usage recorded just 6 years ago. In 6 years, we've doubled the amount of food bank usage per month. It took decades to reach 1 million visits a month, and it has now taken half a decade to double that. So following this rule of 3 here, within the next 2.5 years, we're going to double that again? Maybe this is where that secret confidential RCMP report, little memo that came out a while back, stating that Canadians might riot when they realize just how broke they are. I love their line here. This is Canada's new normal. Man, sign me out of this one. I don't want that. But let's go a little bit deeper because it's even more troubling. 33% are children, representing nearly 712,000 visits, an increase of nearly 340,000 monthly visits compared to 6 years ago. Guys, wow. 40% are on social assistance or disability-related support. I mean, that's pretty sad, man. 19% of food bank clients report employment as their main source of income. So, I mean, this is the literal definition of the working poor. It's not like these people are homeless on the streets just being bums. 20% of them have a full-time gig. 8.3% of food bank clients are seniors, up from 6.8% in 2019. Man, normally I tend to side with the youth and the future that's been robbed from them. But you know what? These seniors that have been in Canada all their lives and contributed to the system all their life are also being done dirty. 23% are two-parent families with children. Man, this is sad. Oh man, that actually kind of makes me mad even. Because we keep sending hundreds of millions, heck, billions of dollars overseas to foreign nations while our own people are legitimately suffering. And it's not just abroad that we're taking care of all these countries and people. It's apparently domestically too. Things are bad when judges, who are supposed to be apolitical, are now throwing their voices in the political arena to decry what they are seeing. 2 Canadian judges have accused government prosecutors of putting immigrant criminals ahead of victims. Antonio Scarica and Antoine Pichet have both blown the whistle on light sentences for brutal, violent criminals to avoid deportation. This was posted in the National Post. Not only do we send money overseas to help others, but at what point are we going to, not only prioritize economically our own people, but, I mean, why would we give priority to foreigners in our courts? If you come here, we were kind enough, nice enough to open the doors for you to come, and then you turn around and commit heinous crimes. Why should we not throw the book at you? Why should we not kick you out of the country? Why should we give you special sentences because you fear being deported? At what point do we say enough is enough? Let's put us first. You can harp on Donald Trump in the US all you want, but his slogan of America first resonates with people. So why don't we say Canada first? Look, if America is going to put themselves first, come hell or high water, I think every country should look within and realize, well, it is their sacred duty to put their own people first. Let's take care of our own. And once that's settled, once we squared away our issues at home, then I'm all for helping the rest of the world. I think Canadians are kind-hearted people. They're good people. They're altruistic people. But we can't let our freaking good nature be the downfall, the demise of our country. I guess, after all, that is the definition of suicidal empathy. And it also makes you wonder why our government is giving sweetheart treatments to non-Canadians. Well, until Minister Mélanie Joly spells it out explicitly for us. Here she is talking about how they successfully won the riding of Terrebonne in the latest by-election. That's the beauty of them being in a majority now. They're getting a little cocky, and with that, they're slipping up and saying way more than they should.
Terrebonne is a riding, for those who don't necessarily know the geography of Montreal, it's a bit out at the on the outskirts of Montreal. It is very much more changing as Montreal and Quebec is changing. And so the second generation of first immigrants coming to Quebec, a very important community from Haiti, also from Northern Africa. And so things are changing in across the country, particularly also here. And so I think that could be actually very favorable in general for a candidate that is from the Asian community.
I mean, she said the quiet part very loudly here. So they put specific candidates of a specific background in specific regions in order to win that specific community after importing a specific background of new voters. Well, now you know why Tatiana Auguste won Terrebonne. Well. Look, that was Mélanie Joly's words, not mine. And of course, virtue signaling that we grew so accustomed to under Justin Trudeau and that we miss and love, of course. Well, don't miss and love it or don't miss it because keep loving it, please. Because Carney decided to just continue in the footsteps.
Welcome, Danielle and Dolly as well. This grows our caucus, as you know. I just want to underscore that we started with the largest women's caucus in history in Parliament. It's now grown, and with Marilyn Gladu, now 71 women, we're just getting started.
Am I the only one who's thinking, who cares? I wouldn't give a damn if his entire caucus was women. I just want the best person in the right position. Gender is irrelevant. This insatiable need to constantly mention gender as an accomplishment only leads me to think these people have no actual value to offer or accomplishments to point to. Otherwise, that's what would be pointed out. Or maybe the purpose is far less stupid. It's simply to pander to the biggest liberal voting demographic. Women. Gen X and boomer women, to be specific. And I'm not trashing on women. It's just data-wise here. I'm all about facts. Data-wise, Gen X and boomer women are voting at like upwards of 90% liberals. It is by far the largest voting demographic for the Liberal Party. So, I mean, maybe this is why they keep pandering on this whole, we have more women in government. I mean, again, I'm telling you right now, even if it was 100% women, I just don't want to hear about it. Like, I mean, if you're the best for the job, cool. Like, let's talk about what you can do. I don't care about your gender, man. Jeez. And I think we're way past that. We're free and equal in Canada. Okay? Now we just want the best. The best. 100% women, let's go. If you're the best, you're the best. But you know who's not the best? On this a crazy liberal take of the day, we gotta laugh a little bit at the CBC. A CBC reporter actually having a temper tantrum because she didn't get to ask a question to Poilievre during a presser. Boo.
Intentionally refused to take my question. Yes, you did. Did anybody see that? We all saw that. You intentionally refused to take my question. You don't even know what my question was. Was that a direction from Mr. Poilievre, or was that your own? No, there's clearly a direction. You refused to let me ask a question because I work for the CBC. Why is that? Then why didn't you let me ask my question? I was first in line. I kept telling you I'd like to ask a question, and you intentionally went around me. That might have helped. Maybe you can tell me why you...
Anyways, this goes on for like 3 minutes of her whining and crying about not asking a question. I mean, let's not forget that the government, the elected government, actually does this all the time to other media outlets that they judge as unfavorable to them. But hey, the CBC got a little taste of, you know, the left-wing medicine, I guess. So if you've made it this far in the video and you want to get involved in helping spread a little bit of truth and also, you know, offering a counter narrative to the mainstream media, well then, aside from liking and sharing this video, I also have a Patreon down in the description. It's a small $8 fee per month, but it really helps fund this entire operation. I'm just a small-time guy doing small-time things, but I would love to grow this, to scale this, and to make it even bigger. So if you enjoy my style of commentary and research, and you have a couple little buckaroos left over, don't go to the food banks in order to fund this, by the way, please don't. But it would be greatly appreciated. Patreon in the comments. And if you would like to learn a little bit more about a brand new scandal that is plaguing Canada, or what happened overseas in Hungary and how there's been some 5D political chess happening, and how the elites of the EU might be weeping because of it, gets me a little bit of pleasure, then click on the link of this video right here. I go down into details. You'll enjoy it big time. But for the time being, my name is Elliot Daniel, and I'm going to go enjoy my weekend a little bit. See you guys next week.